Hi, I'm Eric Berman, and welcome to the September edition of Sidebar. I'm joined today by Mike McDonough. Mike, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Eric.
Well, back in April, we were here talking about the Real Estate Settlement Procedure Act. Mike, why are we back today?
Well, Eric, wanted to take a minute to talk about two things. First, the implementation date for the TRID rules. This is the implementation of RESPA and TILA, the new rules called TRID. Implementation has been pushed back to October 3rd. Originally, you may remember, it was August 1st, but thankfully the CFPB gave the industry a little bit more time, and now the rules go into effect on October 3rd. The second thing is I want to talk a little bit about a new form that we're working on in regards to TRID that will be added to the MAR forms library.
Okay, what is the significance of the October 3rd implementation date?
Great. So the significance really is that the new rules will apply only to individuals who've applied for a residential mortgage on or after October 3rd. So people who are right now in the middle of a deal or planning to close soon or even after October 3rd, they'll still close their deal under the existing rules and see the traditional HUD-1 disclosure form at the closing. It's only those people who've applied for a mortgage on or after October 3rd who will see the new rules, the new disclosures, and the new process set up by lenders and closing attorneys.
Okay, now can you tell us about this new form?
Sure. So we're working on a new form, and it's a one-page form that's an addendum. It's an addendum either to the purchase and sale agreement or to the offer to purchase, the contract to purchase form. So the parties, the buyer and sellers, could use this at the initial agreement, the initial offer to purchase stage, or they could opt to include it at the purchase and sale stage. And so two things I just want to highlight briefly.
Okay.
First of all, it basically states that the buyer and the seller will agree to use their reasonable and best efforts to get as much information about the closing and the closing costs to the lender's attorney at least 7 days before the closing. So things like adjustments for taxes or water and sewer charges or any other adjustments, oil tank adjustments, those types of things. That type of information will be given to the closing attorney as soon as possible, at least 7 days in advance. The other thing I just want to mention about the form is that it has language in there that would allow for a 3-day extension for closing if, in fact, there's adjustments or changes that would need to happen to the closing disclosure close to the actual closing. So it would allow for the buyer and the seller essentially in advance to agree that they would extend the time for closing if issues come up close to the closing.
Okay, so how do you get this form?
The form will be made available. We'll be sending an email next week, hopefully to our entire membership, with a link to the form. Also, if our members are using forms on an electronic platform, the form will be added. So it doesn't matter what platform you're using the forms on, the form will be added as soon as possible.
Okay, so now we have this form, we have this new closing date, and the new implementation date. How should an MAR member get more information on all of this? Because it's a lot of information to take in.
We've added a new page to the MAR website. It's marealtor.com. And on the home page there's a link to all of our information on TRID. It includes archived webinars that anybody can watch at any point, as well as all of the forms and all of the information from our National Association of Realtors, as well as from the CFPB themselves. But also I do want to mention that coming up at the MAR conference and trade show, we will be having a program specifically dedicated to the TRID changes. People can come, they can ask questions, they can learn even more about the changes that are coming up.
And if you want to find out more information about the MAR conference and trade show, you can go to marconvention.com. The special session on TRID is on day 2, which is September 29th. Mike, thank you again for joining me on Sidebar.
Thanks, Eric.
See you next month.